So this week, we're going to get a couple of more data structures. So the one today we're going to talk about is dictionaries. And then on Wednesday, we'll talk about sets. Okay. So dictionaries, again, we're adding to our list of data structures. So far, we've had lists, we've had tuples, we've used strings as data types, and now we're doing dictionaries. So in other programming languages, dictionaries have other names. In C and C++, they're called maps. In other languages, they may be called associative arrays. So the big idea here, instead of having an index, 0 through whatever, that ties to the values, we have some other thing that ties to a value, key value pair. So the example we're going to use, we're going to associate a name with a phone number, okay? We'll probably end up, because all classes do, doing a program that associates states with their capitals, things like that. So the index is not a number. The index for these is whatever key phrase we type in, okay? And for these, we're going to continue the trend of different punctuation types for different data structures. We have the curly braces that will be a dictionary, and they're a series of key value pairs. Okay, so the value of whatever the key is. Okay, so we'll look at an example here where we're creating. Okay, so if I want to create a dictionary that I'm going to call phone book equals curly braces, I'm then going to put in a key value pair. So if I have Bob, colon, I want his number to be 555-1111. Okay. That's all I have to do. Okay. I do need to indent it properly though. Okay. So if I were to run that, should run without error, shouldn't do anything. You're not running. Oh, it doesn't do anything. So we didn't do anything. Okay. But didn't create an error. Okay. If I wanted to do another one, again, it's key value pairs. Alice, colon, 555-2222. And we'll do a Chris, colon, 555-3333. Okay. So we can create as many of those as we want. Okay. You can put them, if you like, on a different level. Sometimes they'll do that, make it a little easier to read, especially if it's long. Okay. Now, if I were just to print this out, see what we get. If I print phone book, it does not have an E in it. Okay. It's going to print it out, kind of ugly, but at least it lets us know what's there. So all three are there. Okay. Note that there's no guarantee on dictionaries that they're going to end up in the order that you put them in. So you can't count on the order. It's usually the same order, but sometimes it's not. Okay. So that could be a problem. It's a problem if you assume that it's in the same order. Okay. So we won't do that. Okay. So if we want to get an individual value from this, okay, let's say we want to print out Bob's phone number. Okay. We would do a print. Say Bob's number is colon, put a space there. We need the space there. You get the idea. I want to go to phone book. Okay. And then I'm going to bracket here which element, which key I want. So with the key Bob. Okay. If I do that, it should give me that Bob's number is correct. Okay. Now, if you try to do something crazy like that, okay, going to give you an error. Can't do that. Okay. Gives you a key error. So this is a new error we have to have exceptions for now. The same way, I think it's the same error. If you do something else of the right format, because it doesn't know what the format is, let's put Dan. Okay. Same issue. It's going to give us a key error. There's nothing of that name. Okay. So you want to make sure you get that correct and you're checking for that exception. Okay. You can, before you print, you can do the following. You can say something like, so we're going to do the end value here. We can say if Chris is in phone book, then print phone book Chris, else print not found. Okay. So that's going to print Chris's phone number. Okay. If I again try to do something else, and now we'll print the not found. Okay. So this doesn't throw the key error because I'm not trying to do anything with it. I'm checking to see. Okay. So this line only happens if this condition is true. Okay. Same way with not in. You could do that before you were adding one if you wanted, whatever. Okay. So if I want to add a new, so let's say I need Dan to be here. Okay. So to add a new item, all I have to do is say phone book Dan equal 555-4444. Okay. Now if I print phone book, it should print it with Dan located there as well. Okay. Dan's added on. Again, soon to the end now. No guarantee it will always do that. Okay. Easy enough to do. When you want to delete an element, we've done this before with lists. It's the delete, not really a function. I guess it's a command. I'm not sure what you would call it. The delete statement. Okay. We can delete phone book. Let's say we're going to get rid of Chris. Okay. And then we're going to print again the phone book. Okay. So that's going to be fine. And now we see Chris is not in the phone book. Okay. Note that this has the same error it had before, and that if it doesn't find it, it returns an error. Okay. There's key error there. Okay. So we could also protect this with an and. Check to see if it's there before you go delete it. Okay. We can also on this last one here. Oh, I'm doing it. It's easy enough. To get how many items, length function works for nearly everything we've done. Okay, so we're going to print the length of the phone book. Okay. Should be the last thing on the list. Will be 3. Okay. Note that it's just how many keys there are. It's not keys and values, just keys. Okay. Or how many pairs, basically. Okay. So you can use that if you need to. Easy enough. Okay. So one thing about keys, when you're picking your key, I guess this is worth putting up here. The key must be an immutable type. Okay, it means a string or a tuple. Okay. It means I can't do the following. Okay. No, it seemed okay with that. That's very interesting. Oh, I guess, yeah, it can do that because 1 is immutable. If I had X, I think this is true. If I had X equals 1 and then tried to send it to X, I think that's what I can't do. I think that's right. No, that seems okay too. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's telling us there. Oh, that was the issue. Try it that way. Yeah, it's still giving me error. Okay. That may have changed, or I might be interpreting that incorrectly. In general, though, you want to use strings or tuples for your key. Okay. But it means that if you want, you could have in your value part anything. So it could be a list. Okay. So I could say, for example, grades is equal to, then I could have the key value pairs, Bob, colon, then whatever Bob, 78, 56, 88, whatever. Okay. And that would be okay. Then if I were to say print grades Bob, okay, it would return first thing here, Bob's grades. Okay, and since grades Bob is a list, I could do 0 there to return the 78, which is the first grade. Okay, so that works perfectly well also. Okay, you can also create an empty dictionary, as we would expect. Nothing weird there. I could just say, if I wanted it to be empty, I could do this. Okay, just the curly braces by themselves. No issues there. Okay. Once I have my dictionary, okay, and now we have, I think, 3 in ours currently. So I can do for K in phone book. Now, if I print K, what I'm going to get, this will be at the end here, it's going to be all the keys. Okay, so what we typically want to do, we want to print K and the value, which would be phone book. Okay. So if you do that, now it's each person with their phone number. Okay. And here probably makes a lot of sense. Do something like a sep equal tab character. Yeah, looks much better. Okay. So when we iterate through that, it's the keys that we're returning, and then each key can be used to access the value associated with that key. Okay. So there are lots of dictionary methods that are around out there. Okay. The first one, do we still have when we create up here? Yeah, grades. So if grade actually had something, so set list of Bob's doing better now. That's a colon between them. Okay. The clear method will entirely get rid of it. Okay, so I can say grades clear, right? Grades, and grades will be gone. So it just prints empty. Okay, so we can clear it for sure. Okay, we can also use the get function. So get will get the value associated with some key. Okay, so I can say grades dot get. Grades doesn't have anything. Let's say phone book dot get Bob. I want to print this out. Okay. It returns Bob's phone number. So if you need to get something out of there, you can do that. Okay. Phone book dot items. Is going to just return this, and we'll talk about this later. This returns this dictionary view. Okay. And it's a sequence of tuples. So this is a tuple because it has a parentheses with the first one. Here's a tuple with the second one. Here's a tuple with the third one. Okay. So all of that is inside of a list. Okay, which is interesting. And we'll there's some ways we can handle the dictionaries that we'll come across at some point. Okay. There's the keys method. Keys will return all of the keys, again, in that weird format. Okay. But in this case, yeah, they're also, so just the keys. It says in the book that it's a sequence of tuples, but I don't see the tuples there. These are a list of those. Okay. And again, I know there are some changes that have been made to keys in newer versions of Python. Okay. We have the pop, which will return the value and remove it. Okay. Pop has changed. We'll make sure pop still works. Okay, so if I do that, and then I print phone book. It does, it works correctly. So I'm returning the phone number of Bob, and I'm deleting Bob from the list. Okay, so you can do that. And again, if that doesn't work, it's going to throw a key error. Okay. Okay. What has changed is the pop item command. Pop item used to be really useful in that it would return a random element. Okay, but if you look every time I run this, it always returns the same element. Okay, in fact, it returns the last element that you added to the dictionary, which in our case was Dan right here. Okay, so the pop item is not as useful as it used to be. Okay, we can also, which comes in handy sometimes, we can print phone book values. Okay, which will allow us a listing of the values of the two things that are left in our phone book. Okay. So those are really there are more methods or more functions out there that work with that. Okay. But that's the basic idea. Okay. So again, the value of dictionaries is when you have data where you want to associate two things that are not just numerically based. So it's not a numerical relationship, because the connection between a state and its capital is not a numeric relationship. Okay, it's a string to a string, and that's where it comes in handy. Okay, so we'll have an exercise in class on this, but this should give you the basic idea about how dictionaries work.